All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast, episode 71. I am your host, Frantic. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host,
Grunt. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Internet.
Indeed. We are here to talk about gaming.
And junk.
All right, so we have a not so jam-packed full episode this week. It's going to be all focused on Destiny, both 1 and 2. We'll get to that here in a little bit, don't worry. But just giving you a heads up so that you're aware whether you're joining in live or not. Doesn't matter to me. But otherwise, let's start off how we normally do with where you can find us. To extend the conversation beyond just this podcast, the simplest, most quickest way to find us is on Twitter. I am at FranticJ3. He is at Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan, all one word. And we are at Frantic_Talks. So that is the official Frantic Talks Twitter account where we tweet out about podcasts, articles, when we go live, all that great stuff. Also, if you want to hit up our special podcast ghost at FreakShow187, that would be awesome. He likes puns. He will puntify anything you send him. We had a major pun off in our Kick chat the other day. It was really dumb. I think it was yesterday, actually, that we did that, didn't we?
Yes, it was. Hands down, it was yesterday.
Yeah, sounds about right. So, either way, puntify. That's what's important there. Also, if you want to catch this podcast live, just like Brock has done already, he's in the chat. How's it going, Brock? If you want to join him and us when we go live, including Grunt Dad, who's upset with the delay. I don't know what that means. You can go over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word. That is where you will find us live every Saturday, usually at 3 p.m. Eastern, usually. That is usually because sometimes we just don't go live at the right time. But if you want to keep up to date on that, you can either follow us on Frantic Talks or join our now awesomely made Discord server, which is the pinned tweet on the Frantic Talks Twitter account. I don't know the actual URL type thing, but if you go to our Twitter, you can join in on the Discord, and we'll post in. We have conversations about all kinds of random stuff in there. So, also, if you miss us going live, you can always find the audio version every Monday. But if you want to get in early access, go over to youtube.com, search up Frantic Talks, and hit the subscribe button on our channel. The podcast normally goes live about an hour after we go live. Because we upload the video version immediately, so you can get early access to it unless you want to wait till Monday and get it on your Stitcher or iTunes account. Also, facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. That is where you will find our more or less Twitter in the form of Facebook. That's about all it is, but like it, just like 134 other people have, and you will get podcasts, articles, all that fun stuff. All else fails, head over to FranticTalks.com. That is the official mothership Frantic Talks website. That is where we post, Grant will show you over there. We got Frantic Talks on a paper airplane now.
Yes.
Fly on over to Frantic Talks just like the plane did. So anyways, that is where you can get all our articles, podcasts, and the like. It's all there, along with a link to magic.frantictalks.com, where we do Magic the Gathering articles. Still working on getting an article up. I know I said I'd do it last week, but it didn't happen. Whatever. Life happens. But if all else fails, if none of that seemed to work for whatever reason, 110 times out of 10, Grunt, what can they do?
Direct yourself to your nearest search engine and just search Frantic Talks. You will find us. I guarantee it.
I guarantee it.
If not, you can yell at me later.
Yeah, exactly. Or, hit us up on, Twitter or something. It doesn't matter. All the ways I mentioned earlier, should be able to find us. If not, search it. It'll be there, I promise. So, exactly. Either way, I think that about covers everything. So, what we like to do here on Frantic Talks, after we start it all off and tell you where you can find us, we start with one very simple question. And that question is directed to Grunt, where I say, Grunt, how was your week?
Week has been pretty good. Start things off. I haven't been playing too much gaming. Playing too much gaming? What? That makes no sense. Playing too many games. A little bit of Destiny here and there. Some basic reset stuff. Some Payday with Freak Show and AC Hunter. Mm-hmm. A little bit of Dying Light with Grunt Dad. That's pretty good. We're working our way through the following DLC, providing the game lets us stay connected.
Yeah, you guys are still having issues with that?
It's just that only game. And it'll let us connect to each other just fine for a little bit and play for a while, and then it just boots one of us, usually me. So I don't know. I know it's definitely not our internet because that whole situation has changed from the last time we played it. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Game, but
I mean, it very well be if it's only that game. And like you said, your internet's changed. I know you were having all kinds of terrible issues when we played Destiny together back in the day. like a year ago or so, but you guys upgraded since then, so.
Right. Back in my day.
Back in my day. God, you sound like Freak Show.
Every single time. Oh, let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, a little bit of Forza Horizon 3, so that's been fun.
Yeah.
Still crashing $250,000 cars in the Australian outback is beautiful and yet painful at the same time. So you're right. I don't think Dying Light does like me, Storm.
I mean, yeah, it clearly doesn't. Also, it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun to like crash $1 million cars just to see what would happen. I don't know.
Lots of stuff. Somewhere I created a montage back in the day of nothing but vehicle crashes from Forza 4. I might have to see if I still have that or have access to it. It was
for sure.
I was trying to kickstart myself as a content creator, so I did it for another channel, and I don't even know if that channel is around anymore.
You still got like the file or no?
No, because the laptop that it was originally created on died. So I might though. I might know of a few places where I hid it away.
Okay, well, I mean, hopefully you can find it.
Yes, if we do, I might have to see about re-uploading it. But that was for gaming, video gaming wise. Last Saturday, after our last podcast, I had a few friends come over and played some Magic and Beer Night, as Storm says in the chat.
Yes, that sounds like fun.
It was. I won my first game. Yay!
Absolutely.
My first EDH game. I won. It was beautiful. And I'll tell you who won it for me. Do you have it ready?
Oh. Which one? You just say it and I'll pick the tab. I know.
Well, it first started off with Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
There he is. Got him on screen.
There we go. Shadow Mage Infiltrator. Basically, it's an unblockable creature. Let's see what it is. I have it right here. It has fear on it, which means this creature cannot be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. So I was constantly getting damage in with him, and whenever he does damage, I can draw a card, which of course I'm going to do that. Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely.
But thanks to that, I was able to draw Consuming Aberration later on.
Yes, and I have him on screen now. Haha.
And with Consuming Aberration, it reads, and I love this card, Consuming Aberration's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. Mm-hmm. So, for people's graveyards, you're counting their cards in their graveyards. Whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals a card from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals a land card, and puts those cards into his or her graveyard. So
that gets dumb.
it gets really dumb. I think the highest power I had Consuming Aberration at one point was up to like 28 or 29.
Dang.
Because Storm was in my same pool at that time, and he was trying out the new deck he built around Neheb the Worthy, I believe. And part of its ability is whenever you attack an opponent or when you do combat damage to an opponent, they discard a card. Mm-hmm. So, in a roundabout way, Consuming Aberration, every time I played something, everyone was like, yo, hey, ditch your cards. And every time Storm attacked someone and did damage to them, or however that card reads exactly, I don't remember, he basically helped me. So Consuming Aberration and Shadow Mage Infiltrator are amazing.
Indeed they are.
I won that game with my Thrax Metal, my Thraxamundar EDH deck, which was my first one I built.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always had problems with that deck ever since I first put it together, so I was really excited to win a game with it for the first time. So it was pretty cool.
Well, cool. I mean, it sounds like it was great, and it's always fun to win with something you made yourself. Not to say buying a pre-con and winning isn't great, but either way.
Right.
For sure.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. I played against someone that ran an Omnath Locus of the Rage deck, which was insane. At one point, towards the end of the game, he was just drawing 41 cards. And we're like, okay, that's it. We're done here.
Oh, geez. Omnath is so much fun, and that inspired you to go buy him. Am I correct in thinking?
It did, yes, along with some of the recommendations you made. So
yes, there's a whole article of that.
There is, and I really like the idea behind your Mind Over Commander 2 on the Magic.Frantic Talks portion of the site.
We can go there right now.
So I'm pretty anxious to build around that. I see you there, Storm. So I'm pretty anxious to build around that. I did pick him up today, so it's going to be a little while before I start putting the pieces together. Until I finally decide what I want to do, so yeah. The only other thing that I think really is worth mentioning is I bought a new guitar amp today.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yes. Picked up the new Mustang GT40 from Fender. It's a digital amp, so I'm pretty anxious to get and play around with it after we're done here, probably. So yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yes, it's pretty cool. I'm anxious for it. That's pretty much how my week was.
Okay. That sounds like a fun week, man.
It was. Well, Magic was definitely fun.
I mean, I'm always a fan of Magic.
Right.
That's why there's a whole other part of the site. But my week was interesting. So I guess we can start back on last Saturday. So we had an early episode this past week, and it was around like 1:30-ish that we went on. And the reason for it was we were going out of town for the weekend for like a belated Father's Day. And what we ended up doing was it's called the Escape Room. Now, I don't know if this is a like national thing. I imagine there are many different types of places that you can do this at. But we did this escape room that was in the city that we were in, it was north of Indianapolis. But anyways, we were doing the escape room there, and we had an hour to escape from this room. But the idea was we had to figure out this whole mystery around the room of this guy we're trying to figure out if he killed himself or not. We had to find certain items, and we had to just solve a bunch of puzzles while we were doing it. And we ended up getting out with 4 minutes left, and it was awesome. Had a lot of fun. I posted pictures on Facebook, kind of like our aftermath, like, oh, we did it. It was a lot of fun. But that was more or less what happened that weekend. Then we played Firefly the board game on Sunday, which took around 2.5 or 3 hours because we played with like every expansion for the game, so it took up this big ass like 6-foot table for 3 of us.
Oh, good lord!
I would have won. So how it's hard to describe how Firefly works, but the past couple times I've played, I've lost to my girlfriend in the very last turn. So essentially, it's like, okay, I have everything I need, now I'm gonna go for the win. There's like certain objectives you need to meet. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go for the win, and then I show that I'm about to do that, and then the girlfriend catches on and goes after it first and ends up taking it. Well, what happened this time was I went after it, and I actually was able to attempt to win. But the problem is you have to do certain things. There are cards called misbehave cards where you have to flip them over, and either you meet the requirements or you suffer the consequences. And one of the cards is only beatable if you have a specific character in your crew, and I managed to flip that card. So I didn't have that person. I was like, well, I guess I don't beat it. I got to roll to escape. Okay, I'm fine. And then the lady friend goes, and she wins. I was like, God damn it. If I didn't get that stupid card, I actually would have won this time.
So close.
So I think that's the second or third time we played Firefly together that I've been a turn away from winning, and she's taken it from under my nose. So
Monday.
But then Monday, I didn't post the podcast because, I'll be honest, I totally went and played Magic instead. It wasn't a conscious choice to not post the podcast. It was just by the time I had got all my stuff aligned and ready to go, I forgot that I needed to post the podcast, and I was halfway to playing Magic at that point. But we went and played Magic at my local game shop, and we jumped in on the Commander night. And first we played just a quick 1v1, me and my good friend Luke, who also writes on the Magic side of the website. And he and I were playing, and he had brought a couple of variants on EDH that he wanted to play. So he just took this little stand, threw a note card in it, wrote, I think it's called Kingdoms EDH on it, and he was just advertising it. Then we moved to the center of the room, and then a bunch of people were like, hey, you guys want to play Kingdoms too? We're like, yeah, let's play it. And we got a big game of 8 people going to play Kingdoms. And what Kingdoms is everyone gets a hidden role, and someone's the king. So you're either on the king's team, you're on your own team, stuff like that. You have specific goals you need to meet. Some people just want to keep the king alive, others don't. And while I enjoyed the idea, the concept, and a little bit of the playing, what ended up happening was there was this one player who was playing a Selvala deck, who basically just adds a lot of mana to your mana pool, that went infinite like 17 different ways. And what sucked about it was we're playing this game trying to do politics and figure out who's who, and he would just be like, all right, I'm going to kill anybody I think who isn't on my team. If I'm on the King's team, King's alive, everyone else is dead. And he just kept doing stuff like that. And it was like, well, that takes away 99% of the whole reason we're playing this variant. Like, if you're just going to go infinite and kill everybody, what was the point?
Right.
So, otherwise, I had fun, like, seeing how other people were interacting, seeing some of their deck ideas, and getting a good feel for how everyone was playing. It was just this one specific person was kind of a little annoying, just being like, yep, I'm just going to play infinite combo, everyone's dead except me and my team. And it was like, well, what was the point?
Right. That goes back to one of your articles you wrote not too long ago, I don't think, where it's like, do you play to win or do you play to have fun? Where do you mash the two together and have a fine balance between them?
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with infinite combos in Magic. You got to be proactive about them, and they'll happen. It's okay. I'm not one of those anti-combo players. It was just in a game where we're trying to do politics and we're trying to figure out whose team you're on and play to that. There wasn't really any fun for anybody if you just win the game on the spot and win for your team on turn 5 or 6.
Right.
Now, to be fair, the second game, that didn't end up happening. I shut down his combo, and then Luke had one of the funniest wins I'd seen in a while. But it was just like the first game was kind of like, all right, I started to build up, and now everyone's dead. The second game, it was like, oh, I have a chance to stop him before everyone's dead again. All right, I did it. And then a turn goes around, and it gets to Luke, and Luke just does what his deck does, which is really funny. But he's playing Tribal Goblins under a not-so-Tribal Goblin leader. Normally, when you play Tribal Goblins, you play Krinko.
Oh God! Please don't mention Krinko.
But he wasn't. He had Krinko in the deck, but he wasn't playing him as the commander. He was playing Mizzix, the blue-red one from a couple of years ago on the commander set. He was playing the blue-red one mainly so he can splash in really funny blue cards that work well to his advantage, like tap everybody's creatures except your own. And so he can do.
That is so evil.
He does Haze of Rage, which is a +1/+0 instant spell to all your creatures, but it has a buyback cost, which means you pay a cost and return it. And with Mizzix, you can pay the buyback for free, so as long as you have enough red mana, you can just cast the spell like 20 times. So that's how his deck works, and it's really funny, just making a bunch of really small goblins and ramming into people's faces. So that's what he ended up doing and winning, and it was a much more funnier way to win, because it wasn't an infinite combo, it was just play some stuff. That's like 50 damage to like 3 different people. Here, eat that. So it wasn't like here's 1,000,000 damage to everyone. It was here's calculated 50 damage, etc. So
right.
I didn't have any problem with that, not because Luke's my friend, but because it was a much more interesting way and had a couple of different ways you could have interacted with it. He had Coat of Arms out. If someone could have destroyed the Coat of Arms, I'd already used my Artifact Destruction to stop the guy from going infinite. If I could have killed Coat of Arms, might have lived a little longer. But couldn't stop it. So that was a much more interesting game than the first game. Right. But anyways, enough rambling about Magic. That was my Monday, and then I think I played a little bit of Destiny with you guys this past Friday. Yeah, yesterday.
Yes, right? It was, because you got the glass house.
Yeah, I got the glass house from Zur, even though I had 0 strange coins, which was really bad. I'd spent them all last week on Zur and hadn't played since yesterday. Or I hadn't played up until yesterday. So I had no strange coins, so we ran the Nightfall. I got 3 of coins, so close. And then Grunt mentioned, oh, by the way, you can upgrade your faction, and I forgot about that. But I had actually 2 faction packages to pick up from doing the Nightfall. So it worked out in my favor, and I got the Glass House, one of the only Titan exotic helmet I didn't have. I still have 1 pair of boots to get for the Titan, and then I have a couple of Warlock ones I need to get, I think. I think there's 1 more, like, helmet and 1 more gauntlet, and then I have a helmet. The Acrophage Symbiote is the only one I don't have for the Hunter.
I'm telling you, man, you just had to visit me. I have the lowest interest rate for strange coins ever.
And this is why we should be able to trade things. We'll talk about issues with Destiny here in a minute. That was more or less my week. The past couple days I've been playing guitar, trying to learn a couple of Dream Theater songs and practicing the ones I know. I actually feel like I'm getting better. I can actually see improvement in the stuff that I'm doing, so that feels good. I used to feel like I was kind of stagnated, but now that I'm challenging myself to play more difficult stuff, it's actually working. So if you're curious, I'm learning the solo to the Count of Tuscany, the very beginning of it, and I'm also trying to learn a Rotomania, which has been very interesting. And I'm kind of here and there with it. The solos are hilariously hard, as would be expected.
Was one of those two songs one time where you just mentioned that tremolo picking is weird? Is that a different song I'm thinking of?
I don't think it was that song. I don't remember what it was. I don't know if I'll think on it. Apparently. And then the only other thing I'll add is that if my lighting looks dull in the video today, it's because the light bulb that I used to make my face look shiny and bright popped right before we went live. Like I turned it on and it just busted, so I look a little duller. It's okay. I hope everybody has a safe and happy 4th of July, by the way. I want to throw that out there. One, I get to go watch fireworks tonight, and then we're also watching fireworks like Monday and Tuesday. There's a lot of fireworks going on around my area. And I also have my very patriotic Captain America fuck yeah shirt on, so.
America.
Merc. It actually says Captain America, to be clear.
That's amazing.
It's Captain America. He's standing on a cheeseburger with a shotgun in both hands, and there's sharks and bears and airplanes and explosions and a bald eagle and an American flag in the background. It's one of my favorite shirts. All right, enough about that. So if you guys missed it, we also had a column come out this week, Grunt's Grumbling, about console wars, which is something he's talked about before, but I'll let you guys read and talk about that. There was no Chronicles of Awe this week, which is quite all right. We've had like 7 straight weeks of it, I think. So, sometimes you got to take a week off. Happens. But also we had our podcast from last week where we talked about core versus casual gamers, and not in the way you would think. I highly suggest you go listen to that. Had some cool little discussion around it and a couple different mediums that we share from. So I did fail to mention our schedule when I did our where you can find us. I knew I'd forgotten something. Every Monday.
Save for the end.
Well, I'll say it now.
Go now. All right, fine.
This is every Monday we get a podcast. Wednesday is a weekly column written by Grunt, me, or Freak Show, and then Chronicles of Awe are usually on Friday, which is a wrestling simulator game where Freak Show simulates a month-end game. Podcast on Saturdays, which we kind of already said, which is live, not the audio version. But either way, all that being said, let's talk about some stuff that's happening. There wasn't really any news or information that we felt like we were gonna talk about or have really much to talk about, and then I remember the discussion we had about Destiny 2 in our Kick Chat and figured we'd bring it out onto here and get your guys' opinion and express ours, that we all kind of are, I feel like we're on the same page mostly. That is Grunt, Freak Show, and I. But anyways, let's talk first about the weekly update at Bungie. And there isn't much to talk about in here besides the Iron Banana. Naturally.
Banana.
So when does that happen, Grunt? Just it's on screen, but ignore that.
Okay, I'm ignoring it. Oh, Iron Banner kicks off at 10 a.m. Pacific. It's like 1 Eastern, if I'm doing time zones correctly in my head.
You right.
On Tuesday, July 4th.
That is very patriotic of them.
It is.
Bannerific.
Yes, the Nova bombs are going to be bursting in air as nearly word for word for Deej from the This Week at Bungie. So, with that said, game type is going to be Mayhem Clash.
I don't know how I feel about that. The last time we did Mayhem Clash, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of annoying, if I remember correctly.
I like Mayhem Clash, so I didn't mind it when it was up in Iron Banner, whenever it was. It makes doing some of the bounties a little more difficult.
Yeah, like 50 primary kills.
Right, because usually, the person you're shooting with your primary has a super, and they just pop it right as you're about to kill them, and it's like, oh, that's unfortunate.
Yup.
I think normal Clash is a better game type for Iron Banner, but, I'm perfectly okay with Mayhem Clash, too.
Yeah, I remember, I think when we were doing Mayhem Clash last time, I remember seeing that I had 18 primary kills in all 7 games completed in the bounty. Right. Just to give you an idea how not so often that happens. So that puts me at less than 3 kills with a primary weapon per game.
One thing I do like is it gives you heavy ammo more frequently. So if you have like a one of the weekly weapon bounties from the Crucible Quartermaster to get kills with a heavy weapon in Crucible. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, there's a couple of fun little strategies too, because heavy ammo spawning no more often. Special also spawns more often, and we got into the habit. We got into the habit of one-shotting people with weapons of light bubbles. That was really fun. And
so dumb.
And we were chaining bubbles back and forth in like certain maps. You can really chain bubbles back and forth in like central areas. We'd always have like 3 bubbles going at once with all 3 buffs active. You get your blessing, your armor, and then the other one where, yeah, the blessing, the armor, and the weapons. Armor was the one I couldn't think of, even though I'd already said it. You got all 3 of those buffs going, and you're just like really hard to kill. So people would run in and throw a Nova Bomb and kill one of us, and the other 2 would still be alive, and that guy would be punched to death. And it was really fun.
It was amazing. It was probably some of the best moments I've ever had playing Mayhem Clash, because you always see these videos of people running the Defender Titan with suppressor grenades, or suppression grenades. I don't know what exactly they're technically called, but basically if you throw it, you can't double jump, you can't throw a grenade, your melee ability isn't activated, you can't use your super. It suppresses you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all 3 switched to those when we were playing it, so we were probably making a lot of people mad.
It's very true. I'm pretty sure we were.
It was amazing to hear a golden gun pop around the corner, throw a grenade off the wall, and just see this hunter with a golden gun run in front of you, and then halfway through the picture or the screen where you're at, he's just, boom, super's gone.
Yeah, I know if I was on the receiving...
It's a jerk thing to do, but to actually do it is freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I know if I was on the receiving end of that, I would, I'd be very upset.
All right.
But,
especially when you're about to kill like 3 people with a golden gun or a Nova Bomb and someone just takes you right out of it. It's like, curse.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, did we ever suppress someone in the middle of a fist? I want to say we did.
We did, I think, yes. I think we did.
Yeah.
I know there was one time where Freak Show and I were playing, I think it was actually doubles that we were playing it in, but we were both running our Bubble Titans, and we either killed the guy or suppressed him out of his Fist of Havoc 4 times in a row.
That's pretty bad.
Yes. I felt really bad for the guy because I know how it is to have that happen.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious to do it.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to something like that. Not looking forward to the bounties that I have to complete with primary weapons, but otherwise I think should be fine. Hopefully we don't have a terrible week like we had the one week I was off.
I mean, I haven't played Crucible and Destiny for like 2-3 weeks, so a little bit of doubles because it's featured playlist this week, but
I still need to play doubles before the week resets.
Get those treasure boxes.
I got time after this podcast. All right. So interestingly enough, the loot is probably some of the best loot you can get. Now, I don't mean that as in, oh, this is great, but for me personally, stuff I need. Anyways, you can get the rocket launcher, the titanium orchid, right? That's what it's called.
Yep. It's a good rocket launcher. I like it. I like the couple that I have from Iron Banners of Past.
Yeah, I got one that had like grenades and horseshoes, heavy payload, javelin, all this crazy good stuff on it. It was just like, oh dear God. Apparently our stream is having technical difficulties at the moment. I am not sure if that is on Brock's end or our end. I guess we can ask Storm. In the meantime, we're going to keep going because this will get uploaded to YouTube and not be so screwed up, so I apologize to people listening live. The sidearm will be the next thing that you can get. That is the Hungering something, right?
I honestly do not know.
I almost said Hungering Song, but that's because it looks like the Lingering Song, which is the hand cannon.
Right.
But I know it's not the Lingering
cannon.
Song. Yeah, that song is great. That song is great. Wow. That gun is great. Technically, the song is great, too.
Okay, we're spiraling downhill here.
We're really going downhill.
What's the armor that you can get from Iron Banner this time around, Frantic?
You can get gauntlets and chest pieces, 2 things that I think I need the most of. Well, actually, no, I think I need helmets more than I need chests, but I desperately need gauntlets. I literally just infused my only spare set of gauntlets into my Ruin Wings on my Titan because they were $399 and not $400 for some reason. I don't know why that happened. But yeah, I definitely need gauntlets because gauntlets. But those will be what you can get. Lovely, lovely stuff. Which is great because it drops at 400 light level at the end of the post-game rewards, regardless of if you win or lose. Doesn't matter how many games you've played. And you'll also be able to purchase them from the from Lady Aphrodite. Is that her name?
Yes, but they are at like 350, I think. So
I think they're actually at 380.
380.
But the stat rolls are 99 to 100% almost every damn time. So if you're interested in getting... Well, I'm just saying, if anyone out there is a tier nerd like myself, you can get that stuff. So either way, that's about it for the update. Some people are upset that the weekly movies of the week are montages.
Clans are... I mean, okay. So... montages are, I don't want to say easy to make, but they are somewhat easy to make. They're easier to put together than, say, something that is more like a machinima, where you need voice actors and you need to have camera angles and all that, scripts and all that stuff. So,
what's really great about montages is
so long as they're not dubbed to the most overused Linkin Park song ever.
Well, that too. But what I think how montages work for me is whenever I watch them and see awesome shit happening, I'm like, I want to do that.
Right.
So I feel like that's why they're so popular, because it makes you feel like you could go and do that now that you've seen someone do it. I don't know.
Right.
It does require a little bit of luck sometimes, but basically if you just turn it on, turn on your recording software, whatever it is, and just play and then cut out all the boring crap, you can have a decent montage. I've made 2 montages in my time. Well, that's not true. I've technically made a bunch of Griffball highlight reels, but I've made 2 montages. So self-made montages. I did a Tomahawk montage from Black Ops, and I did a Star Wars Battlefront Day 1 launch montage showing off some of my fun little kills that I got. Those are the 2 things. Yeah, those are 2 things I've done, and both of them made me want to go back and play both games. So in my opinion, they worked. Now the Black Ops one took forever because it was a bunch of stuff. It was almost like a year and a half worth of footage that I just kind of told my Xbox to record or whatever. Back when Black Ops had theater mode and you could upload it to their website, I just downloaded all those and spliced them together, which didn't take much time at all, honestly. It took like maybe a day's worth of work, but it was a long time worth of stuff. Either way, I don't know. I feel like that's why they work so well, is because they make you want to go do the very stuff that's happening. So,
right.
Other than that, though, that's the update. So let's talk about Destiny 2. So there's a lot of information that's come out around Destiny 2, but there's something in particular that's come out that I want to talk about. Now, how I was assuming we would treat Destiny 2 up until it came out, or maybe after the beta and stuff, is we talk about the beta when we got to play it, and then we would discuss the week before specific topics related to Destiny in general. We're still planning on doing that. No worries there. Now, I don't really want to give away what we'll be doing because it's going to be a fun episode. We'll have our special ghost in full ghost form on this podcast because, us 3 have bonded over Destiny more than anything, I say. But we're going to talk about something very specific that has been announced related to the loot system. Now, some of you might know where we're going with this. Some of you might not. That's okay, because we're all going to come full circle when we tell you that random rolls in Destiny 2, on your weapons at least, are no longer a thing. So what this means is right now in Destiny, whenever you open up like a faction package or you get a gun at the end of whatever playlist you're doing, whether it's Clash or like a story mission, right now everything you get there is random. Now the gun is obviously random itself, but the perks and attachments that come on the gun are also random. So the 3 sites that you'll get to pick from your legendary gun are random. The list of perks are random, but they're confined to like a assortment of like 10 perks in each slot, something along those lines. So that leads to farming for god rolls and just in general farming because you like a specific weapon. So if you want your god roll Aes Luna, you have to farm Clash. If you want to god roll Mago Loop like Freak Show wants, you go and get skeleton keys and then run the Undying Mind Strike.
skeleton keys to be exact.
Yeah, 50 skeleton keys. So that's how it currently works. Some people like it, some people hate it, and I'm sure there are 100 in between. How I personally feel about it is it takes me a little while to get the gun I want, unless it comes in the weekly vendor reroll, or reset every week. I'm just kind of like, whatever gun I get might be good, might not. Just kind of happens. I've gotten a decent amount of guns in my time playing. Now, there have been times where it's been from just a week where I played an hour. There's been times where I played for 10 hours and finally gotten something good. The only time I've ever specifically farmed for something was a cloak I wanted. I didn't even care about the stats at the time. Luckily, the stats were perfect, so I don't have to go do it again, but it took me forever to get my solar flare cloak. Other than that, I didn't give a shit. So, how Destiny 2 is going to work is the weapons are going to have basically the same attachments. And I don't mean that, or not same perks and attachments on each specific gun. So gun A will be different than gun B, of course. But what this essentially means is you have Scout Rifle A that has 3 options for the sights, and then 6 perks on it. All 6 of those perks will always be the same no matter where you get this gun from. So if I'm doing a story mission and this gun drops, woo! If I'm doing Clash or I get a package of some sort, I don't know how it's going to work in Destiny 2, it'll drop with the same perks. Kind of like how raid weapons do currently. So you finish a raid, or you beat a boss in a raid and you open the loot box, whatever you get, typically, at least weapon-wise, has the same perks.
Ooh,
so,
Fatebringer.
Yeah, so it's going to work like that. Now, there are people who are upset about this, clearly, and there are others who are like, oh, this is fine. Doesn't matter. I personally, and I think, and I'll let Grunt explain how he feels about this too, I'm personally fine with this, because it gives more of an oomph to the weapon you get, and isn't like, oh, you didn't get a good gun. You got the same gun I have, but mine's way better than yours. Right. I think it's fine. And with everything we've learned from Destiny 2, I think everyone's just freaking the fuck out over nothing. Which, to be fair, is true just about any game when you don't know enough about it and you're only left to speculate. Which is what this is in a sense. But personally, I just think it's not that big of a deal. What do you think, Grunt?
As I say with any game that I'm interested in before it comes out, it is, I'm going to save my full judgment for when it comes out and when I'm actually able to play it and try it out. So, I really won't know too much as to how I feel until we get to play it, which is always a safe bet. You don't get your hopes up, don't get your own expectations before you actually get to try it. And really, it was always the best way I felt to approach a game like Destiny. But I'm interested to see how it does play out, because back in, I think, from like vanilla Destiny to it was House of Wolves, a lot of the legendary weapons dropped with fixed perks, I think. But in House of Wolves, they introduced the option to re-roll those perks. So you got a weapon to drop, maybe it had rangefinder or whatever perk it was. You could take it to the gunsmith, re-roll it to get a better roll.
Okay.
So in a roundabout way, you could basically get the roll you wanted for it. It was really, really strange, but I felt that it kind of made it a little like, everyone's using the same gun. There's no diversity there. And that's one thing that I've always liked about the random rolls is, so you have a IS Luna that has this perk, and rangefinder on it. Well, I have an IS Luna that has that perk, and also rangefinder on it, but I like mine better than the way yours is because it suits my playstyle better. So,
yeah, I imagine it'll inevitably lead to, I like how this gun looks and feels, but I wish it had different perks on it. I can see that.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's more so for an effect or a reason to level the playing field, because it sounds like what they're really trying to do is kickstart Destiny to be in a good competitive scene. That's why I think they lowered the Crucible Fire teams to 4v4. So I think it's going to make things a bit more level playing field. You won't have too many variables to determine, well, I should have won that gunfight because I had a better gun than they did. Well, no, you just maybe missed a couple of your shots. Because
that's a good point.
You have the same gun. What would be cool to see them do is bring back something similar to like the House of Wolves, where you could re-roll weapons. So, I don't know, that's speculation on my part.
Well, the issue with that, though, is kind of what you would describe, where people would just reroll till they got the best options.
Right. And you're truly never going to fix that in any game where you have the best perks on possible gear. So
no, and that's something people I think aren't understanding is that one, no game is ever going to be perfectly balanced, and two, even if it's as close to balance as possible, there's still going to be stuff that outclasses other stuff. Right. There's no truly level playing field where each gun works better or has a definite counter or something like that. Right. If there was, there'd be no identity in the game. So the only way that works is we all just have literally the same gun with the same fire rate, and we have no options on that gun except maybe skins, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. That's the only way you get a truly balanced game. Right. I mean, that's what worked so well with like Halo, where everybody starts with the same weapon, and then there are options to pick up other weapons, but normally, it's going to be a fight of the primaries that are all the same. When you get into this class-based system where you're introducing your own options for starting weapons, it's going to have a lot more balancing that needs to be done, and I don't think they'll ever truly balance it. And it's okay to accept the fact that there's going to be 5 to 10 guns that are just kind of a step above everything else. Where it gets out of hand is when they're 10 steps above everything else, and you truly can't beat them unless you fight fire with fire. That would be my biggest concern. But I don't know. I personally just feel like games like World of Warcraft have worked for so long where there's never been an RNG to it really besides just what loot drops. The weapons all have the same stats and stuff where when you get them from that raid or whatever you're doing, it just depends on if you got it to drop. Destiny is kind of the same way where it's like I really want this gun to drop from the raid. And luckily, they've changed it to where it's all static. But, it used to be Taken King. It's like, oh, I want this drop. I want this drop. Oh, I drop a shit perks anyways. So you got to redo the whole thing again and do it again. And it becomes more than just I want this to drop. It's I want it to drop a specific stuff on it. And I think that takes away from the legendary part of it when the guns just drop with other random stuff on it. I don't know. Legendary guns in Destiny don't feel legendary to me. They just feel like the base level stuff, and then exotics can do cuter things. I don't know. I want the loot system in Destiny 2 to feel more like an actual loot system and not okay, I have 8 million legendary things. What you mean? I have a bunch of common stuff, right. And then everything else is just true junk. I don't know.
I'm torn on the issue because I like the fact that with fixed perks, everyone's on the same level playing field. So, for example, like I said earlier, if you're in the Crucible, it's basically going to come down to a matter of gun skill. Who is the better player? You both are using the same weapon. Who is the better player there, or at least who can use that weapon better?
Yeah.
But to have a weapon drop with the same perks, it's like, man, I really want this sweet scout rifle. You get the scout rifle to drop. It has everything you want on it in terms of perks. Is that going to keep the desire for people wanting to play for loot? So I think that was a big portion to why a lot of people played Destiny now, is they wanted an IS Luna with the God roll. They had all their other weapons they liked. They didn't really care about them, but they wanted that IS Luna with the best roll on it. So that kept them playing until they eventually got it. Then they moved on to another weapon that they wanted that had the best roll on it. So, yeah, I'm torn. I can see where fixed perks is a great idea. I'm probably going to like it in the end. I'm just thinking, but is it going to kill the urge for a lot of people to play specifically for loot?
So you have two interesting points, and I want to hit on both of them. So the first one, gun skill and PvP. I can relate this to Magic. So in Magic, they want diversity when it comes to the competitive world. They don't want one deck running the entire Grand Prix, and that's why they end up banning cards, is because something becomes too oppressive, and it doesn't become what can I play, it's what beats that, or what is that. You
Right.
either play it or you play what beats it, and that's it. And sometimes what beats it is itself. And that's happened before in Magic's history. And it ends up turning into a game of wits and more or less gun skill in this case for Destiny. In Magic, it's more of like poker skill, like how well can I read what they're going to do. I know their stuff inside out, so I need to be better than that. And that works for competitive scenes, but when appealing to a bigger crowd that's more casual, or maybe not as talented as some of the people who do that, it takes away, personally, I think, identity from the game. I'm never going to be on the level where I'm going to be able to kick ass, take names 100% of the time. So I like having my own little flair on stuff. That's why I'll use guns that are kind of lame, that require a little more extra effort to do well, because I feel more accomplished that way. So if it came down to gun skill, it becomes stale in my opinion. Because then it's a matter of, I'm just going to play what everyone else is playing, and if I don't win the gunfight, I don't win the gunfight. And I can see that as being an argument against fixed rolls, but I can also see it as an argument against guns that require the god roll. It's basically, if you don't get the god roll, why are you bothering? So in both senses, that problem is always going to exist, and I think that goes back to where I'm like, it can't be 10 steps above everything. It has to be just slightly better, but you could still beat it, if you know how to handle yourself.
Right. And Storm brings up a perfect example for what you just said there. He has a Soul Stealer's Claw that has, at the time, was the god roll to it, but it doesn't work for him.
Exactly. Some people may not know how to use it. And that's a criticism in Magic as well. When net decking the best deck in the format, if you don't know what you're doing with the deck, you aren't going to win. Net decking meaning copying the list and pasting it, for those of you that don't know. But basically, it's like if you take the best thing and start using it, if you don't know how to use it, the problem lies there. So I can see those being an issue. Now, the other one I wanted to talk about was where you were mentioning it, fixed versus these RNG rolls. Which one is the better option and how people chose to play the game? What's interesting to me is that people are upset that they aren't going to be able to farm stuff. And you say the only way that a fixed loot system, or at least a fixed perk system, is going to work is if they have a wide open armory. And while but I mean, it's just like tens of thousands of guns essentially. There's a lot of options. And while
Borderlands, there's no bazillions of guns here.
Right, yeah. While I agree with the idea that there's going to need to be many more guns if we're all going to have the same perks on them, I think it's too hard to say which is truly better, and it all comes down to execution. And this is the choice Bungie has made. Apparently, and this could be me putting words in their mouth, but they think a fixed system will be better in the long run, based on everything they've said, compared to what they have now. Whatever reasons those may be, I don't think we've been told for sure, but it's essentially they're going to a fixed system, and that's their choice, their cross to bear. So at this point in time, the only thing we can do is trust they made the right decision. And while I don't know if they made the right decision, and you don't know if they made it, we won't know until we play it and see how it works after the first 5 or 6 months. We just kind of have to have faith that it'll at least work. I agree it's fair to be skeptical. I think we should always be skeptical of what we're given. I mean, after just having E3 where we're shown so much promise and so much greatness, half of that stuff isn't going to come out the way it is. That's just being realistic. You should be skeptical. Like you said, Grunt, put your expectations, what was the word you used?
I said going with no expectations.
Oh, but I mean tame them. Like, don't go in thinking it's going to be the next Legend of Zelda,
Right.
Keep them mannered. Don't over... I can't think of the right way to put it. Just don't go in expecting the best thing ever.
Keep your expectations grounded.
There you go. That's how you say it. I could not think of a way to put that. But but essentially, they're making these decisions. I'd argue they probably know more about their game than we do. But but it's a matter of we got to see what happens.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They know what every little tweak does probably better than we do. We can only look at the frames and calculate the damage. There might be more than that, but basically, that's what it ultimately comes down to, I think, is that the choice they've made is made for a reason, and I'm not going to sit here and defend that choice blindly because I don't know how well it'll work, but personally, I'm welcome to change. I know a while ago on one of our podcasts, couldn't tell you the episode, I said that I hope people don't just expect everything to stay the same in Destiny 2. Now we've seen a lot of similarities, and people are upset about that, but ultimately, people are just going to be upset. Let's put it that way, because there are people that are upset that this blows my mind. There are people that are upset that the lore is in game only, and I know
small things to complain.
Okay, so I know why they're upset. It's because that I'm on the boat of. I wish it wasn't in-game only, but I'm not upset about that. And what we mean by this is the Grimoire cards. I'd take a few minutes while, I don't know, like I'm taking a shit or something or I'm bored. I'll read those Grimoire cards, and that's how people were able to get the information that they did to make the videos they did about lore that Freak Show watches, or just to make videos in general, learning more about these things. They're not having those, and so people are a little upset about that. And I'm pretty sure it's been blown out of proportion. But at the same time, it's like, you guys wanted it in game. Why did they decide to cut it out completely? That I couldn't tell you. But people get mad about anything. So I guess it's a matter of how valid is their anger. And at this point, I think I understand where they come from, but we can't just have Borderlands in the Halo world, which is what everyone said Destiny was back when it came out. So I mean, I don't know. But personally, I'm okay with this. I think it'll be fine that we get fixed perks. Personally, that appeals more to me, and because I don't play the game nearly as much as some other people do. I think it appeals more to the casual crowd, which I imagine is much bigger than people are giving it credit for. I see the same thing in Magic all the time, where people are like, "Oh my God, this is just appealing to kitchen table players." Do you know that Wizards of the Coast says that over 50% of their players are kitchen table players? So how dare they appeal to their casual crowd? Like, Jesus Christ.
Shame on them.
So,
hey, to be fair, playing on a kitchen table is perfectly okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, geez, not everyone can have a 20-foot table with a table-length card man on it. Jeez.
No, but you have a good point. There's nothing wrong with being casual, and I think Bungie's trying to appeal to both the competitive and casual crowd by making competitive changes that will help balance, like the new weapon loadout, and trying to appeal to the casual crowd, making it to where the weapons will have fixed perks. But at the same time, that appeals to the competitive because they could have an easier way of balancing it. So,
right. Like, I think right now, I mean, we just found this out just this week. So, it is definitely, in my mind anyhow, way too early to come out and say, oh, well, it's not going to work, or, well, yes, it's going to work.
Yeah.
Because the masses haven't played the game. Just probably the only people that have played that game are special guests that Bungie has had for, like, the reveal event, and at E3, and those people actually working on the game right now. So,
yeah. Most importantly,
works.
The people working on the game. Right.
So it's way too early to say for sure whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. I like the way it sounds. I'm torn on it, like I said, because I understand it's going to kill the drive for other players.
Yeah, but
I just want a gun that's going to efficiently shoot a drag. That's all I want.
There you go. That's a good point. And Storm has a great point that everyone's a critic.
Yes, definitely.
Which belittles our opinions a little bit here, but that's okay because, it's an open discussion. And we want to hear what you guys think. What are your opinions on this? Do you think we're way out of our minds, or do you kind of agree here? Are you full on board the Frantic Talks train and saying, Destiny 2, we'll see what happens, and this could be fine? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But I think that's about all I have to say. Do you have anything else to add, Grunt?
Just like I said earlier, keep your expectations grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everything will be fine. That, I think, is a big reason why people get hyped up for games. They actually get a hold of the game and they don't like it is because they go in, well, this is what I want the game to be. So this is what the game's going to be. And when it comes out, it's nothing at all like that. And they're like, man, I hate this game. It sucks. It wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Exactly. That's a pretty good point, actually.
So really the only way to solve that is if you want a game to be the way you want it to be, develop it yourself. And we had this discussion a long time ago.
Yeah, more or less.
So that's all I have to say on the topic.
I think that's a good place to leave it. So
it'll be fine. It will.
I'm sure it'll be fine. And if not, Bungie will feel it where it hurts the most, their wallet. So that being said, guys, I think we're going to end it there. So, I want to hear what you guys think. I'm sure Grunt wants to hear it as well. Hit up us, extend the conversation. I'll get to that here in a second. But let us know what you think. Are you all aboard the hype train? You think everything's going to be beautiful? Complete opposite of that. You think it's going to crash and burn? Somewhere in the middle, which is where I imagine most of you are. Let us know. Simplest way to do that, head over to Twitter. I am at FranticJ3. He is at Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan, all one word. And we are at Frantic_Talks. That is the official Twitter account for the Frantic Talks. For Frantic Talks. I was going to say Frantic Talks like account, but I'm like, yeah, that's how that works.
It's usually how that works, yes.
Yeah.
We have an account.
Yes, we do. That'll probably be the easiest way for you to hit us up, so send tweets that way. Or you can send it directed at one of us particularly. Maybe one of us said something you didn't like particularly. Who cares? Also, hit up our special podcast ghost at FreakShow187. Loves his puns. He'll puntify anything you send towards him. He's probably interested in what you have to say about the announcement of all this Destiny 2 stuff as well, because he's just as into it as we are. Also, if you want to join in live on the conversation and watch this as we go, even though we had a little bit of technical difficulties today, not necessarily us, it was actually Twitch from what I'm understanding, but you can head over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word. That is where you can catch this podcast live every Saturday, usually at 3 p.m. Eastern, usually. And usually is because sometimes we just don't go live at that time or day. Usually just not that time.
If we don't, and we have any change of schedule, you will be notified via one of our previously mentioned social media platforms, probably Twitter 90% of the time.
Absolutely. But we also probably will say it in our fancy new Discord channel, which if you head over to at Frantic_Talks, it is the pinned tweet. You can click that link and join in with your account / make an account and join. We'll post in there about all kinds of random stuff. We always have conversations going on, it seems like. So
fancy.
It's super fancy. Promise. Also, you can head over and onto YouTube. I'm struggling to say this sentence. Head over to YouTube, first off. Search Frantic Talks and hit that subscribe button. You want to know why? Because every Saturday after we go live, about an hour later, you'll find the video form of the podcast uploaded onto YouTube. 2 days, count it, 2, before it goes live in audio form on Mondays. Speaking of audio form, Mondays is when we post the podcast in audio. Wednesday, we will also be posting articles that are weekly columns written by either Grunt, me, or Freak Show. And Fridays are Chronicles of Awe, which is our awesome series that Freak Show does where he simulates a wrestling management company. And it's a great, fun little time. He does storylines, all that great stuff. I probably should have said where you can find that, which is frantictalks.com, but I skipped Facebook. So facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. Head over and like it, just like 134 other people have done, and that's where you'll get a more Facebook form of Twitter. But back to frantictalks.com, because that's where you'll find all the stuff I just mentioned in the footer, along with those articles that come out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and like I said, we go live Saturday and on Twitch, but all this information is in the footer. Also, magic.frantictalks.com is where you can find all the Magic articles we have done, including ones we mentioned earlier and even showed on screen, relating to Omnath, Locus of Rage. But that is as simple as clicking the link. You can actually go into the video and watch me do it. It's pretty simple. But other than that, that about covers everything. But
if you're more of a visual learner,
yeah, you can watch the video. There you go. But hey, if all else fails, man, if you could not find us through any of that, it's okay. There's one simple thing you can do, and what is that, Grunt?
Direct yourself to your nearest search engine. 110 times out of 10, you will find us just by looking up Frantic Talks.
I guarantee it.
Also, it's sort of the Twitch chalice now.
The Twitch chalice? What?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Brock says we can go to the video sections on the Twitch Chalice uploads the whole stream, which she just found out recently.
Oh, interesting.
Archive. So, Frantic Talks Twitch channel. We're now the Frantic Talks Twitch Chalice.
Interesting. Yeah, I do tell it to archive our last 2 broadcasts because that's the max it says it'll do, but apparently, maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, either way, you can watch the probably glitchy version of the stream, or head over to YouTube and subscribe, or wait till Monday and get it on the mothership. Either way.
Which I don't have my mothership in reaching distance.
Alright guys, well like I said, let us know what you think about the information that we talked about related to Destiny 2. Hopefully we'll see you in the Iron Banner, getting some gauntlets, chest pieces, rockets, and sidearms. And hope you guys have a great 4th of July. Don't blow your fingers off, that would be rather unfortunate. If you're not in America and you're listening to this, have a normal 4th of July and 5th, or and 3rd, and 2nd, and 1st, and 2nd. And
if you're in Canada right now, it's Canada Day, so happy Canadian Day. Canada Day.
Oh,
I just totally screwed that up, so...
Well, I mean, it's not our holiday, but either way, happy Canadian Day.
I'm from America.
That's what the shirt says, man. Alright, that's about enough of that. Okay, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, let us know what you think. Have all fun times. Be safe out there. Enjoy your gaming for the week. We'll see you guys next week. I am Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
And like I said, guys, we'll see you next time.